Berlin, a city that has been at the heart of some of the most significant moments in European history, carries a complex and painful legacy. For 28 years, from 1961 to 1989, it was divided by the Berlin Wall, an imposing physical barrier, but also a symbol of a much deeper political, ideological, and emotional divide between East and West. This documentary delves deep into the history of the Berlin Wall, exploring how it came to be, its impact on those who lived in its shadow, and the powerful moment when it finally fell. Through first-hand accounts, expert analysis, and historical footage, we'll explore this iconic Cold War structure from its construction to its dramatic fall, and the legacy it left behind for future generations. The story of the Berlin Wall begins long before the concrete was poured and the barbed wire was stretched across the city. The roots of this division lie in the aftermath of World War II. In 1945, as Nazi Germany fell to the Allied forces, the once unified nation was divided into 4 zones of occupation, each controlled by a different Allied power: the United States, the Soviet Union, Britain, and France. Although Berlin, as the capital, was located deep within Soviet-controlled territory, the city itself was similarly divided into 4 sectors. The division of Berlin was a temporary solution at first, a method of governing the defeated nation while the victorious powers deliberated over its future. However, the political climate rapidly changed as tensions between the Soviet Union and the Western Allies escalated. The ideological differences between communism and democracy became more pronounced, and the once temporary arrangement began to solidify into a more permanent separation. In the West, the sectors controlled by the United States, Britain, and France began to merge, laying the groundwork for what would become the Federal Republic of Germany, or West Germany. Meanwhile, in the East, the Soviet-controlled sector became the German Democratic Republic, or East Germany, a communist state heavily influenced by the policies and governance of the Soviet Union. As these 2 separate states formed, so too did their respective political identities. West Germany, with the help of the Marshall Plan, experienced rapid economic growth and became a symbol of democratic success. In contrast, East Germany struggled to rebuild under the constraints of Soviet-style socialism, where economic stagnation and state control made life increasingly difficult for its citizens. One of the most immediate consequences of this division was the mass migration of people from east to west. Between 1949 and 1961, nearly 2.7 million East Germans fled to West Germany, seeking better economic opportunities, personal freedoms, and an escape from the authoritarian government of the East. Many of these refugees were skilled professionals, doctors, teachers, and engineers, causing a severe brain drain on the East German economy. For East German leadership, this exodus posed an existential threat. If the migration continued at such a rapid pace, East Germany would collapse, unable to sustain its economy or maintain its workforce. The Soviet Union, already grappling with internal economic issues, could not afford to lose its grip on East Germany, which served as a key buffer zone between the capitalist West and the rest of the Eastern Bloc. The Soviet leader at the time, Nikita Khrushchev, and East German leader Walter Ulbricht made a fateful decision. They would halt the flow of refugees by any means necessary. On the night of August 12, 1961, East German forces, under the direct orders of Ulbricht and with Soviet backing, quietly began to seal off the borders around West Berlin. By the morning of August 13, the citizens of Berlin awoke to find their city divided by barbed wire and armed soldiers. Streets that had once connected east and west were now cut off. Families were separated overnight, and life in Berlin was irrevocably changed. What began as a temporary barrier soon evolved into a concrete wall, stretching 96 miles through the city and its outskirts, separating East and West Berlin. The construction of the Berlin Wall was rapid, deliberate, and brutal. Over the weeks that followed, the barbed wire fences were replaced with concrete slabs, watchtowers were erected, and armed guards patrolled the border. Over time, the wall became more sophisticated and more dangerous. It wasn't just a single wall. It was a system of barriers that included not only the wall itself but also a death strip filled with tripwires, guard dogs, mines, and automatic weapons designed to stop anyone from crossing. For the people of Berlin, the wall was a daily reminder of the Cold War and the division that had been forced upon them. On the East German side, propaganda promoted the wall as the anti-fascist protection rampart, a necessary defense against the fascist West. However, to those trapped behind it, the wall was a prison, a tool of oppression used to keep people from escaping the suffocating control of the East German government. Dr. Maria Schneider, a prominent historian, explains in one of her interviews, the construction of the Berlin Wall was not just about stopping the flow of refugees. It was about control. The East German government needed to stop the exodus of its citizens, yes, but it also needed to send a clear message. Leaving was no longer an option. For those who lived in East Berlin, life behind the wall was a constant struggle. The East German government controlled nearly every aspect of daily life, from education to employment. Travel between East and West Berlin, once commonplace, was now nearly impossible. Families who had been separated by the wall were often unable to see one another for years, or even decades. The Stasi, East Germany's feared secret police, played a key role in maintaining control over the population. The Stasi monitored phone calls, intercepted letters, and placed spies in nearly every neighborhood. Citizens lived in constant fear of being reported for even the slightest hint of dissent. "We were taught to trust no one," recalls Monika Hartmann, who grew up in East Berlin. "Even your friends, your neighbors, your colleagues, anyone could be working for the Stasi." It created a sense of paranoia that still lingers with me today. Despite the oppressive atmosphere, there were moments of quiet resistance. Some people refused to give up hope, even under the strictest surveillance. They found ways to express their dissent through art, music, and literature, even though they knew the consequences could be severe. "Life behind the wall was hard," says Monika. "But we found ways to survive. We found ways to dream." The fall of the Berlin Wall was a pivotal moment in world history, signaling the beginning of the end for the Cold War. Less than a year later, on October 3, 1990, Germany was officially reunified, and the country began the difficult process of healing the wounds caused by decades of division. Today, the Berlin Wall remains a powerful symbol of oppression, resistance, and the triumph of human spirit over tyranny. Although most of the wall has been dismantled, sections of it have been preserved as memorials, serving as reminders of the pain and suffering that it caused. The Berlin Wall Memorial, located in the heart of the city, is a poignant tribute to those who lost their lives trying to escape, as well as to the resilience of the people who lived through that dark period of history. For modern-day Berliners, the wall is both a scar and a symbol of hope. "It's hard to imagine now," says one Berliner, "that this city, which is now so free and open, was once divided by a wall. But I think that's why it's important to remember, because it shows us how far we've come and how precious our freedom really is." The Berlin Wall, once a menacing reminder of Cold War tensions, now stands as a lesson to future generations. It shows us how political divisions can tear nations apart, but also how, in the end, the human spirit and the desire for freedom can overcome even the most formidable obstacles. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the untold story of the Berlin Wall. If you found this exploration insightful, please like, share, and subscribe for more stories that delve into the history that shaped our world.